metabolism of the naturally occurring cannabinoids. And Dr. Daniel Piamelli, who's at UC Irvine, has invented several substances that interfere with the metabolism of naturally occurring cannabinoids. And I know from talking to Dr. Marcoux last night that he understands this pretty well, better than I do, much better. But the idea of inhibiting the enzymes that metabolize our cannabinoids is something that will likely lead to new medication in the future. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, this is what I've just been talking about, that if you increase the cannabinoids, either by blocking the metabolism of naturally occurring cannabinoids in the brain or by taking them exogenously, you're going to increase the amount of free dopamine and you're going to slow the speed of neurotransmission. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so Dr. Sulak mentioned, that the endocannabinoid receptors are all over the brain except in the brainstem, which is why, to the best of our knowledge, nobody has ever died from an overdose of cannabis. And these areas here that we're talking about are areas that are in the midbrain. And you can see that they have an effect on memory and the effect on movement. And the limbic area, of course, talks about emotion. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? And Dr. Sulak also mentioned the amygdala. The amygdala, I think that's Greek for almond. That's the shape of the particular structure. And it has to do with anger and rage. So if you have sort of excessive stimulation of the amygdala, then you're going to have to deal with that feeling of rage. Have the next slide, please. And this, again, is just a graphic demonstration of where a large number of these receptors are. And it lets you know that there's a lot of them that are in the midbrain. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, next slide. And the next one. Next one, somehow I got carried away there. Okay, so the endocannabinoid system, as I said earlier in my talk, by making more dopamine available for doing retrograde inhibition, allows you to have more time for the frontal cortex to get involved, because it makes it difficult for the neuron that's been inhibited by the retrograde inhibition, by being depolarized, to fire, and it has to wait a while until it repolarizes so that it can be stimulated. And this is giving the frontal cortex, the more modern, more civilized part of the brain, more of an opportunity to get involved in your thinking, in your fear, in your aggression, what have you. Can I have the next slide, please? And I think this is just a summary slide that goes over what I've been saying here. Basically, this is a fairly straightforward concept in terms of dealing directly with the issues that people have. In addition, of course, cannabis is useful in treating anxiety, useful in treating depression, which clearly are often part of PTSD. And as Dr. Sulak said, pain, actual real physical pain, can contribute to PTSD, and cannabis is very effective as an analgesic. In fact, in a survey that we did with 3 doctors in the American Academy of Cannabinoid Medicine And I thank Dr. Tammy for wearing a t-shirt, by the way. And you might want to check into our website. That the most common reason for doctors recommending cannabis is for analgesia, for pain. And the second most common reason is for anxiety. So I think you can see that anxiety and pain are two very common comorbid conditions with PTSD. I think that's one of the most amazing things about cannabis is its wide range of therapeutic application. In fact, some doctors have a hard time appreciating cannabis as a medicine because they don't believe that any one medicine can do as much as cannabis can. If they read about it, they find out that they were mistaken. Okay, can I have the next slide, please? Now, I think one of the things that's really frustrating is the fact that it's hard to get the VA to talk about cannabis for treatment of PTSD. And I think that a lot of vets get frustrated or discouraged. Now, that doesn't mean that every doctor in the VA system doesn't understand this. But it does mean that most of them aren't educated about it. And of course, the other problem, which Dr. Sulak touched on, is many people with PTSD also have pain. And since cannabis is an analgesic, and since many places will stop treating people's pain because they use cannabis, this compounds the situation. And I believe that it has something to do with the suicides. I mean, if you're taking a medicine that helps your PTSD and helps your pain, but you also need opiates, and your doctor says no more opiates for you, that's very depressing, and can be depressing enough, I think, to trigger suicide. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, well, this goes back to attention deficit disorder. As I said, this presentation deals both with ADD and PTSD, but clearly people are better able to focus and concentrate, and that's not, generally speaking, not a bad thing with PTSD as well as attention deficit disorder. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so where do we go from here? We have an awful lot to learn. The endocannabinoid system has given us a peek into how the brain works, but only a peek. I mean, for instance, is it too much dopamine or is it not enough dopamine? We need some more studies on that. Also, what our experience tells us is that probably THC is more important than CBD when it comes to PTSD. Why do I say that? I say that because of the use of cannabis during the Vietnam War. There wasn't high CBD cannabis around during the Vietnam War, and yet a lot of military who were trying to deal with their PTSD found that cannabis gave them some relief. So there's an awful lot that we need to do here, and yet the American government almost completely has stood in the way of research meant to take a look at the beneficial medical attributes of cannabis. They have poured hundreds of millions of dollars into trying to prove that there were negatives, and most of that research ended up empty, and the negatives that they did find were not particularly significant. Can I have the next slide, please? So, we are in an exciting time. You all know that. We stand on the verge of deciding here in California whether we're going to legalize recreational cannabis. Should that particular piece of legislation pass, it does have $2 million in there for research. I recognize that those of you who may be against it, and I was sort of on the fence on this one, but I'm leaning for Prop 64 right now. is because $200 million go to the police. Now, I think that should be the other way around, but that's not the way it is. Okay, so PMLE is at UC Irvine, and he's working on compounds that block the metabolism of the naturally occurring cannabinoids. And PMLE, I've heard him speak a couple of times, and he said, well, you know, the plant stuff is okay, and the prenamidol is okay, but obviously what we have in our bodies is probably best. He may well be right with that. You've got drug companies that are out there that are working on synthetics, people that are looking at terpenes. There's a lot more that we have to learn on that. And we also don't know what percentage of people with PTSD are going to benefit from cannabis. Hopefully, a lot of this PTSD information is going to be straightened out by Dr. Susan Sicily. She's become really a rock star in terms of these kinds of conferences. I have to share with you, she went through the process. She actually got approved by the federal government, and then she was in Arizona, and a senator in Arizona blocked her by telling the University of Arizona, if you let this woman do this research, we're going to cut her funding or your funding. So she's now doing the research in Colorado. And a couple of years ago, I heard her tell a story about the bureaucratic hoops she had to jump through. And in her presentation, she said, and I'm a Republican. I saw her a couple of years later and asked her if she was still a Republican, but we didn't have a chance to explore that. And you know, the sad thing is, Republicans get PTSD. It's like this. Okay, so you have PTSD and you're not currently using cannabis, my advice to you is start using it. If it doesn't work, you're not really out very much. And the chances are pretty good that it'll work. I can't tell you how good they are because Dr. Sicily's study isn't completed yet. That's the end of my presentation. I will be glad to take any questions. Do we have time for that? Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Are you aware of the connection between omega-3 and the CB1 receptors?
Short answer is not very much.
And I educate
the longer answer is that gentleman sitting right there knows a lot more about it than I do. And what I do know is that if you were using cannabis as a nutrient, that it is a good source of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, and that the omega-3 fatty acids are important to creating anandamide. I'm reminded of an old joke of this, in Russia back in the 19th century, they used to have itinerant rabbis, and they go by coach, and this rabbi had been doing this for 15 or 20 years, and his coachman had been the same guy, and he was always greeted by a large crowd that came in, and one day the rabbi said, you know, why don't we switch places? You've been listening to me for 20 years, and you can be the rabbi. So they did that, and the crowd, of course, asked questions and stuff, and the coachman did really well until he got to a very tough one. And he thought about that for a minute. He said, you know, that question is so simple, I think I'll have my coachman answer it. So I think I'll have Dr. Marcoux answer it, not because it's so simple, but because he knows the answer and I don't. Okay, next question, please. Yes, is there?
I got a question. I got an email from an advocacy group I belong to that's trying to figure out this opiate crisis, right? August 25th, the Surgeon General came out with a letter to all of the doctors in America saying this is their part to help the opiate crisis. So my question is how do you get the doctors to get the cannabis on their platter?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, the question was how do you get doctors to get cannabis on their platter? I think you clone Dr. Tammy. You have to have more of these kinds of conferences. You need to educate your representatives.
Well, first of all, let me clarify it, okay? I'm talking about feds in Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, all the East Coast, but these are patients that are screaming out because I put all my stuff online and tell them I have freedom in California for 20 years. I'm talking about the people in all the states that are in the South that are dying every day because of this epidemic. And this doctor is a dude that's supposed to be telling all American doctors. So I'm saying, how do you get the doctors